I am healed, whole and healthy. I relax and visualize. I am healed, whole and healthy. I am well. I am
And
well.
Maggie, welcome to the green room. We are live.
Hi, honey.
So we've been having so much fun already today. And let me just say, we started that song with that Karen Drucker, who we had on just a little while ago. And you called in and you said, oh, first of all, let me say, this is Maggie Cole, the life and times of Maggie Cole, for God's sake. Come on now.
I can hear thunderous applause all over the universe.
They're all over. The people are cheering from miles around. But this is now, and why I thought this is really funny. You were calling to just talk to me, and then you went, "Wait a minute, I'm on the air." I mean,
this is what old people do.
Oh,
they don't know what's happening. They just go, "Wow, really?"
It was so funny. It was so, but we really appreciated you calling in, and this is going to be fun today because there's a couple of things that you've been several things to me. You have been a spiritual guru, mentor, person. Thanks to Karen. It was Karen's fault. I can blame her for introducing me to you, and I can blame you for me being all spiritual and stuff. It's both of you. Doggone it. Why'd you get me this way? So
you're a much happier individual. So I'm noticing that you're much nicer and better than you were 25, 28 years ago when I met you.
Oh, I was a wreck.
Yeah, you were a wreck.
Right.
You played good drums though, honey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I probably wouldn't have had anything to do with you, but I did because you're a musician, and you know how I am about musicians.
I do. Okay. So just a minute now. So what people don't know, what most people know about you is this whole, you are really a in the background kind of spiritual guru that in these rooms that Karen and I were talking about, all those churches, you're not one of the people that's up on the stage with all the lights and the fanfare, but you're in the background loving everybody up. Everybody knows who you are, especially like Ricky. When I was talked to Ricky, I said, "Hey, I'm going to be talking to Maggie." Oh, tell Maggie hi. You know everybody, and everybody knows you, even though you're not the person that's up there on the stage. Generally speaking, you're the background. You're the foundation that's loving everybody up behind the scenes.
But see, you knew me as the background because I was stage manager. I was in the background. Since that time, I've been on tons of stages, decorated tons of stages, spoken on tons of stages, facilitated on tons of stages. So you haven't known that part of me. You've just known me as your friend. You haven't known when I left Asilomar, I've been all over the place. Just so you know.
Well, see, this is why we're doing this. I'm getting to know that. So, but kind of one of the things that I wanted to get at is the other part of you is this humor and comedy side that we also got to experience backstage.
Yeah.
So, but I want to do this because I'm hoping that I'm going to let you talk in a minute. I'm sorry. I told you I would just listen, but no, I'm going to talk for a minute. I'm sorry. Okay. And I asked permission. You wrote a blog last year, and it's entitled "The Life and Times of Maggie Cole, for God's Sake."
Right.
And I invite everybody to look that up. You can get the title and read these things, but I'm going to read this off of one of your blogs. I invite you to consider the possibility of touching someone's life today or sometime soon, maybe even your own, by offering a random act of kindness, by smiling inside and out, by showing interest in another. Be your authentic self by engaging in the feeling of joy and gratitude for what you already have and see what happens. It is all so contagious. Written by you, my friend Maggie Cole.
I wrote that.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
it is. Yes. So,
I like that. I think that's. I think that's. I think I told you this that I do this with people, and I will preface it by saying, I'm a practitioner and we don't give advice. So I got around that by saying, I invite you to consider the possibility, and then I tell them what to do. But since it's an invitation, it's not a command. Then I'm not giving advice. So this is what we were told in training: never give advice. So I thought, how can I let people know what I think? I'll invite them to consider the possibility that they are the light of God, the light of the world, for example.
well, this is my question that I want like to know, and especially since we just started talking. I only know you as that person that helped me and introduced me to knowing how to sit and listen and be held. And you've done that for me a number of times. And the stage manager of the Asilomar retreats that I did. And I've known you only as that friend that you've been so gracious to take me on as a friend. What did you do before I met you? What was your involvement uh, in stage managing and all that stuff? Because you seem to be really good and you knew your way around and
Yeah.
what? Tell me about that.
Well, I never was a stage manager before.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there was a person at Asilomar at the time that wanted to fire me. Yeah, because I disagreed with him. And one of the things that I've done since I was a child, I mean, when I was in grade school and I'd go to the movies, I'd spend all day Saturday in the movies. And then when I was playing in the summer, I would reenact those movies, and different kids would be different characters. I was the main character. I was the director. I was the producer. I was the sound man. I was everything. And this all happened in my yard. It was very real to me. And so I would orchestrate these things. And then when I got older, there wasn't room for that. I mean, I was too busy, feeling insecure as a teenager, and when I was a young adult, and I was introduced to marijuana, and we had multiple many parties, a lot of trips, and all these people I worked with. So I was doing all that, but when I came to California, and then after Rob was burned, I just thought, this is my life. I'm going to feel guilty and ashamed for the rest of my life. And then I moved next door to where the church was. They didn't have service there, but they had classes, and the office was there. It was right next door to me. So I got introduced to Science of Mind. And that was 31, almost 32 years ago. So I've been in this teaching all that time. And so what I did before that was I had a good time, and I felt like I was pretty much nothing. I didn't have any value. Um, my home life, as I remember it, for the most part, sucked, and I never felt loved. I really never felt loved, and so this teaching challenged all of that. And so, and when you met me, I was right in the front of that. This was, um, you know, this was at least 25,
Yeah. Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
That was what. So I was all in. I mean, I was going to every class. I was going to everything. I volunteered for everything. And I can't even remember how I got the Asilmar job, except I remember our minister, Edward, was on the stage one night, and I was in the back of the room. And I thought, the lighting sucks. The sound sucks. And so I brought this to the attention of somebody. And then finally they changed the way they decorated the stage. They changed the way they lit the stage. They had professional people come in and do it. There wasn't volunteers. And so that all changed. And then I think Edward told this person, said, Maggie's got this skill, this gift, and you should keep her on. And so I was there for 7 or so years, and I did workshops at Asilomar, and my dancers were at Asilomar. We warmed up for Deepak Chopra. The second year I went to Asilomar, I met Michael Beckwith, my first or second year at Asilomar. So that ignited my spiritual journey. But before that, I wasn't Maggie Cole, for God's sake. I was Millie Ellis, or I don't know who I was. I've had many names. But I found myself when I got into this teaching, and I'm still discovering myself. And I don't know that I've ever liked myself as much as I do right now. And there's been a lot of pain and anxiety and agony, but also going to Revelations for 24 years gave me things that I never thought were possible. Mm. And the biggest thing that I'm engaged in, I won't say that I've attained it, but that I'm engaged in, is my relationship with Rob, my son, Rob.
Well, you mentioned the fire.
This is my biggest payoff. That's what I'll say.
Right. And you mentioned the fire, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this. This is what you start your blog with. And I think is that one of the biggest things that has moved you into where you are now, is the experience of all of that?
Well, I don't know that it's moved me. I'm incredibly grateful that I found this church, because when Rob was burned, and for years after that, many years after that, every year after that, I thought I would die feeling guilt and shame for the rest of my natural life. I thought that was my new identity. I wasn't Maggie Cole, for God's sake. I was Maggie Cole filled with guilt and shame. And I thought I would go to my grave with it. And when I got into this teaching, I remember I was in a class, and I had done some classes and I dropped out. People, there were practitioners, and I thought, I don't want to be one of those people. I have no idea who they are. So I just kind of left that alone. But I entered this class, and I didn't sign up for it. I just showed up the day it started. And in that class, we were going around the table and saying what our prayer request was or something. It was just the ending of the class. And about 3 people before they got to me, because I think I was at the end, this energy started taking me over. God, I haven't told this story in a long time. And I pushed myself away from the table. And by the time it was my turn, I thought, I'm going to do this. And I closed my eyes and I said, I forgive myself for Rob. Mm-hmm. And when I came, and then I thought to myself, I hope this is real. And a woman who ended up being in my prac class came over, her name is Leslie Kay, walked over and whispered in my ear. And I didn't say, I hope this is real. I just felt it in my heart. She came and whispered in my ear and she said, this is real. And I remember coming to, the class was over. I was sitting in another place. I had gone to God knows where. And it took me, we were talking about process before. Of course, it took me a process to say this to myself and say this to God out loud and be witness for it. But it took a long time before I really believed that I was forgiven. Mm. And then it took me even longer, years and years, to believe that my son could love me.
Mm.
So that was over about a 25-year period of time. Now I believe that he does. And when I'm with him, I'm as happy as I ever am going to be, because we have this relationship that is beyond precious. I mean, it's a miracle.
What you've
Given
described.
that I thought I would die of guilt and shame all my life, yeah,
Right.
it's a miracle.
So while you were talking about all that, I was feeling it as well. And what I was thinking is how it felt when you were in the shame, how it felt when you moved out of that, and what it feels like now. I mean, and because when we talked the other day, I could feel the joy in you. And this is what I wanted to ask you is when you said, my belief in it, that I believed I could be loved, did that coincide with a feeling, a specific feeling?
Should it coincide with a feeling? That's a good question, Jeff. Um, my life is orchestrated by my feeling.
Mm.
I don't think much anymore, as you can probably tell. A couple of things. Kim Kaiser, who is the director of the education thing in Centers for Spiritual Living, and is at our church head of education, and he's been a spiritual person his whole life. He and I were prayer partners for a long time, and one of the things that we shared was that we both liked sports, just like Michael Gott. I fell in love with Michael Gott as this spiritual, gorgeous person. And then when it ended up he liked sports, I thought, oh, I'm really into this person now. But Kim shared this with me. And this came from LeBron James when he was like 19 years old or something. I think he didn't even go to college. He just went right into the NBA. And for those people who don't know, LeBron James is an NBA basketball player. So he was being asked, what do you attribute this talent, this skill to? And he said, I don't go out and play the game. I let the game come to me. Now, when you watch NBA basketball now, when I watch it, that phrase is used all the time. I never heard it before.
Mm.
And when I heard that phrase from Kim, I thought, that's what I want. How do I want to do my life? I don't want to go out and make something happen. I don't want to go out and play that game. I want life to come to me and I'll respond to it. Now, I don't do this every minute of every day because I get caught up in stuff. Almost used another word, but I won't because, you're a nice man. But noticing that when things show up, then I have a choice to respond to it or react to it or make a decision about it instead of trying to make something happen or figure something out. So that frame of mind has helped me with my noticing my own value. I have had many, many teachers, many, many teachers. And yet, what I know is that nobody can teach anybody anything unless you're willing to say, this is who I am already.
Mm.
I mean, when Michael Gott talks to me and he tells me how wonderful I am, and he articulates it. I mean, he said a prayer for me last Thursday, and I felt like that I was the queen of the universe, what he was saying for and about me. And I think deep inside me, I know this is true. And then there's other voices, about these voices that tell you, blah, 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 blah. None of that's true. So my love and acceptance that I am loved and accepted has been a very, very long journey. And I have people in my life that challenge that for me because I thought they don't love and accept me. We talked about this the other night about being interested. And I thought, I want to be interviewed because this is somebody who's interested in me. Even if it's just you and me and there's nobody else out there.
Right.
This is, I get to respond to you, you know. And when we talked the other night, we had this, 2.5 hour conversation.
Yes, it was, yeah, close.
It was amazing. We laughed, we cried, we shared stories and all that stuff. So that's what I love to do. And there are people in my life that don't have any interest in doing that with me. So I have a very small circle of people that I actually relate to because I realize I truly love and trust them, and they truly love and trust me. I even said to my therapist last night, I said, I was watching a movie, and after the movie, I wrote this question down. I said, am I going to be sheltering in place for the rest of my life because I don't trust people anymore? Because I've been betrayed and hurt and all that stuff. It's so much easier just to be here and talk on screen with people than to be out in the world. So I won't know that until shelter's lifted and my body gets back in shape and I'm going to grocery stores again and stuff. But I like this Zoom thing. And I was surprised, I heard Karen talking about, oh my God, all this technology. But it's serving me in a way that I never dreamed. Because I was pretty much ready to leave everything that I had been doing for the last 30 years and say, I'm done. And then I had my first Sunday night on Zoom. And I went, God, I was happy. I like being happy. It was fun.
I've already learned a lot from what you just said. And number one, I hold you in high esteem because of what you've done for me and how you've been for me and what you've allowed me to become. And to hear you tell of the 25-year journey, and it makes me feel like I still have a chance. It's like, oh, okay, so it's Maggie's still working on it. Okay, so okay. Because and here's the thing that you and I talk about, we share the shit, pardon, I'll just say it. We go through stuff.
Yeah.
And what I so appreciate about you is your open, honest, and your honesty about it. And when you share it with me, because that allows me to go, oh, and identify with it and feel it. And I think feeling those things are really important. That's why I wanted to ask, because sometimes I'll be thinking something and I'll think I should be healed, or I believe this, I believe this, I believe this. But it's not until I feel it in my body that it actually becomes the belief, if you know what I'm trying to say. And,
I do.
And so that's why I was asking, is when you know that you've actually got into that place, can you feel, does it feel different and a little bit?
Well, yeah, because if I have a thought, somebody doesn't let me, especially if it's a member of my family, there's an emptiness here. There's a sense of emptiness. And it's like I can feel it to my backbone, I can come to the realization that what other people think about me isn't as important as what I think about me. But that's what they think. So I feel, especially if there's somebody that I care about, that I love, that I want to engage with, and they're not interested. Jane Fonda said this when she was honored at the American Film Institute. Every year they honor somebody. And one of the thing that she said that I'll never forget, she said, it's more important to be interested than interesting. Stay curious. I love asking people what's going on. What happened there? What's that look on your face? How did you feel when this happened? And there are people that don't want to go there. They want to stay safe or whatever their thing is. But when I feel good about myself, and it's easy because I'm sequestered. There's nobody telling me that I'm bad except on an email or a phone call, maybe. But I feel what I'm interested in. I feel, it's like last night I watched a Warriors game. Because they're only rerunning the games that we won. I'm going to watch them lose. I'm ecstatic. I have a picture of me and Steph Curry and a happy birthday that my friend John sent me. He photoshopped me and Steph Curry with my head on his shoulder. I look at that every day and it makes me smile. And I thought, for some people, that's ridiculous. For me, it's a place of joy.
Mm.
And so I think I've learned, I continue to welcome this thing of joy and acceptance that I'm a weirdo lady and it's fine. And
Yeah.
some people want to hang out with me and some don't, and that's fine,
Well, I love it because I always
But
have.
it's taken me years to get there, honey. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 79, almost 80. So it's taken me a long time to get to this place.
Oh, I'm going to be working a while yet then.
And then when I was at the JC, we were doing. I was at the Women's Center, and that's when I really noticed how creative I was because I did a
Mhm.
lot of creative stuff, and then I brought that to church. But this woman and I there was a day on relationships, there was a day on aging, and I was doing the day on aging. And I remember interviewing these people, and there was this woman named Elsie Holden. She was 84 at the time. She was a poet. And one of her kids was like the conductor of some orchestra in Europe or something. And we talked to her a lot, and she was talking about her process of living. She's still doing it. She's still going through. And I thought, she's 84. Now, I was 40 at the time. And I'm thinking, any minute, I'll just sit in a chair and rock and be fine. I just thought Rob was out of the hospital. We wasn't having any more surgeries. Now we can just have a life. And that's what I thought because I had done through all this stuff with him and through all this stuff with my childhood. I'll just sit in a rocking chair. Well, that hasn't happened yet. But I thought she's 84 and she's still ruminating with what she feels and what she thinks. I had no idea that people live like that because I'd never been exposed to a person of that age that was still interested in their process. And like you and I talked before about, I can talk about my process and I can talk about my spiritual attitude, but I also want to have a good time. I also want to dance and watch ball games and movies and relate a Seinfeld episode to every conversation I've ever had in my life. Because I can pull them up just like that. I mean, there's not many conversations that I have that I don't think of a Seinfeld episode,
Oh, so what
and it's fun.
Seinfeld episode? Yeah. Any Seinfeld episode popping in right now?
Oh God, I just watched two of them last night. It has to kind of happen automatically. I don't
Okay.
think about them; they just kind of present
It
themselves.
just
So
come
if
in.
one presents itself, I'll interrupt
Okay.
you and say, "Hey, I've got a
Okay.
Seinfeld." Today.
Okay. Please do. Just like, okay, I got it. I got it, Jeff.
He was
um,
on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and he's never been on Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel's my favorite late night person because he's so real.
mm,
And here's Jerry in a suit and tie, you know. Rob and I went to see him in person last year. I adore this man because I think he's so funny and he's so he's so true to himself, and you have to love that when somebody's really true to themselves. He
Right.
doesn't, I mean, he does these shows and stuff, but he just is, this is what he thinks, this is what his comedy is, and it's just like, this is him. He's not anything else. He doesn't do like anybody else. And there's something about him that is so endearing. I feel like he's one of my best friends. Of course, he has no idea who I am, but
Right.
maybe someday we'll meet.
But it's the authenticity. He's being authentic and just being himself and not interested in being anything other than that.
Yeah.
You said something that really made me think about this. When I feel my emptiness is usually when I'm thinking about what someone else is thinking about me.
Mhm.
And
That same feeling I described. Yes.
yeah, that and the fact that they don't like who I am or whatever it is, that's usually when I feel empty.
Mm-hmm.
When I feel the fullest is when I'm with my daughter Mackenzie right now.
Yeah.
So this is, let me describe this relationship because I believe this is how you and Rob are, the way you joke with each other. So I just went and she just repositioned her room. And through all of this, we've taken a little bit of money. I let her repaint her room. We went out and bought some plants. And I walked into her room a little while ago and I said, wow, this is almost feels like a little apartment. And she said, yeah, it kind of does. And I said, well, why don't we get you a little refrigerator? Then you won't have to come out at all. And I can just have the house to myself. And she just goes, okay, you can get out now. Now here's I feel so full when I have that interaction with her. And I feel so okay because I know it's just her and I'm not worried about what she thinks about me. And I just know she loves me and we can say those kinds of things and tease with each other. And I know the way you've talked about you and Rob now, that's how you are.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could have those kinds of relationships with everybody? Is that possible?
Well, I remember saying to someone, a prayer partner of mine, and I said, the way I feel when I'm talking to you is I hear wisdom coming out of me that I never knew was there. He facilitated, and not facilitating me, but when I was with him, I got to see how much I had to offer in terms of our conversation. And we had spiritual conversations, and sometimes we would talk about different things. And we had this conversation about how this only happens with us. I don't have this with anybody else, and haven't had since before or since. So I think when we're with each other, I mean, when you and I hooked up, and we haven't seen each other in 10 years at least,
Yeah.
Since that Revelations, where I saw you in the lobby, that's the last time I think I saw you.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
At least 10 years ago. So every one of us is got this, each one of us is an individualized expression of God. I cannot be Oprah, and you cannot be Bradley Cooper, although I wish you could for just a few minutes.
I would
But
like to do
we'll deal with it. But there's something that we connected in that parking lot and in Merrill Hall when you and I were there with all these other people around. That you came into my heart and you never left, even though we haven't been around. There was a woman, I was doing a citizen, I was working for a group called Citizen Advocacy. It was with parents of disabled children. And actually, I was leading this group, and I can't believe how that would happen because I was a wreck at the time I was doing this job. But these women and I got together, and it was lovely. So I was having this meeting at my house, and this woman came to the door, Sarah Tasheva. And she knocked on the door, I opened the door, and I said, I love this woman. Never met her, didn't know anything about her, except I assumed she had a disabled child. But I fell in love with her. And I have met people that there was nothing in between our hearts. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's staggering, you know? And then I want to kind of say, please be my friend. I want you in my life forever and ever. And I thought, oh God, Maggie, my family says I'm too intense. You're so intense, people will be scared to death. But when somebody responds to that, you think, boy, this is heaven, to meet somebody and be met by them, without having any information, or identity, just that heart thing happens. And there's something miraculous. And I believe that if we go underneath our facades and our personalities and all that stuff, we all connect. I mean, our teaching is we are one. Mm-hmm. So underneath all this other stuff, we're connecting on that level. But for some people who meet, I guess this is when people fall in love. They go, oh, this is the one, and that can sometimes backfire, as you and I both.
We've had our backfires.
We've had our backfires, train wrecks, jumping off a cliff. I wish I was dead. Yeah, those kinds of things. But that heart connection is so powerful. And now I feel like, Jeff, I'm doing that with myself. I never said that before. But that feeling that I got from Sarah, that feeling that I got from my friend Molly, that feeling I had when I saw Michael Gott on that stage that first night at Asilomar. And I thought, I love this man. I'm noticing and now just articulating that that's how I'm feeling about myself. I'm meeting myself and I'm thinking, I like her. Maybe for the first time. And there are people, here's a Seinfeld.
Okay.
So Jerry's parents have come to see him in his apartment. And Kramer comes in and they said, what's happened to you? He said, this guy hurt me. He said, now he's after Jerry. And so Jerry's mother gets all upset. Why is somebody? No. Jerry says, they're not after me. And then it comes up that he said, Mom, I know you may not understand this, but there's maybe some people that don't like me. Oh, don't you say that. You're a good boy. Everybody likes you. And then his father says, yeah, I can see that. So it's like there are people that aren't going to like you. I mean, there are a lot of people that may not like me. And that's fine. What I've learned in therapy and through a lot of prayer and practice is that what that person feels about me is none of my business. I mean, somebody said that in a book once. And I think, and if you care about them, it brings about that feeling, that sinking feeling that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole thing, love yourself and then people will love you. And I thought that's such bull crap. But it is true.
Yeah.
The more I appreciate and value who I am, the more I'm available to the people that I'm with. And all the years it's taken me. I mean, Rob was burned at 7 years old. He would be 52 this year. It took me at least 45 of those years, to believe that he could actually care about me, that he could actually love me. He doesn't say it out loud. He said it maybe 3 times in the last 30 years. But when I'm with him, there's a trust and a faith and I feel free with him. It's the most free I feel is when I'm with him. I mean, I feel free when I'm with myself, but another person, it's the most free. He has paid attention. He does know me. He's always treating me to things. And I think I told you one of those stories the other day where I was watching that concert and Lizzo sang A Change Is Gonna Come, and I didn't like it at all because change is gonna come is sacred ground for me. And I told Rob about it in a conversation, and then he sends me this thing. He says, do you get West Wing? And I said, I can look on Netflix. He said, here's the season, here's the episode, here's the time. And so he didn't tell me what it was, so I look it up, and there's James Taylor singing A Change Is Gonna Come. And I thought, my boy thought so much of me that he gave me this gift. So I'm crying like I always do. I'm crying. I call him up. His thing was full. I sent him a text. And then I realized all these years he's been giving me these gifts. And not necessarily on Christmas or Mother's Day or my birthday, but just whenever I'm with him, I can say, oh, I remember Jerry Seinfeld. There he is. I remember Linda Ronstadt. There she is. I mean, it's just, he just offers these gifts. And I'm thinking, how many gifts have I missed? Because I think I should get them on these certain days from these certain people. So he's expanded my gratitude and blessing awareness. Because I look at the sky and I think it's brighter than it used to be because nobody's on the road. The air has cleared. So I'm looking at the sky and I'm thinking, notice this. This is a gift. This is a blessing, you know? So every day there's this opportunity. I mean, I know you know this. There's this opportunity to say, am I willing to expand my appreciation of the blessings that I have? And just like on Sunday night, when I do my Sunday night thing, the woman opened the prayer, and the title of my talk was Jamie's song, Something's Calling Me a Little Bit Deeper.
Jamie Lula.
Yeah. And I asked him to sing, but he never got back to me. So she prays, and I'm thinking, oh, there it is. And so I asked people, I said, what does that mean to you? And we had a couple of minutes of silence. And I said, so our introduction tonight, say your name and what that means. And we had 13 people, I think, and everybody had a different response. And I said, every time I do this Sunday night, my perception, my opinion gets expanded to include those other people's responses. Some I resonate with more than others, but I always get expanded. And I guess that's why people are in the world. But I have this very focused thing called Zoom, where there's nothing else going on but this, and there's something intimate about it. And so I'm in my own house, not interacting with people, so to speak, in the world, but I'm getting expanded all the time by what you attribute to me, that I'm listening, that I'm curious, that I'm interested. And then they go off in virtual rooms together and talk in dyads or something. And they come back and I said, I want to know what everybody said and what everybody felt. And of course, they don't do that. But we close the circle with an I am thing. We say their name and they make an I am statement. And the I am statements were so joyful. One person says, I feel giddy. And I thought, what a lovely feeling to feel giddy. I mean, how often is it that we feel giddy?
Wow.
And I thought, I'm just really pleased with what happened in that hour, that a person would come out of it saying, I feel giddy.
So for the last 20 years since I've known, you've done lots of workshops, lots and hundreds of workshops and talks. Yeah. Now, you're bringing all of that to these Sunday night services that you're doing, and if someone wanted to tune in, are they able to tune in to that?
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's not a service.
Okay.
I reconstructed this a couple of years ago, and I
Okay.
turned it into Sunday evening conversations. So
Hmm.
the facilitator isn't giving a sermon and taking an offering like
Okay.
that.
Hmm.
I say, this is our topic, and I go blah, 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 and then ask a question and put people in small groups, and they come back and then they share with each other. And then we have people pray for people afterwards. And if you just go to the CSLSR.org website, SL,
CS.
that's Center for Spiritual Living Santa
Okay.
Rosa.org,
Let me
and
see
it'll
if I.
say services,
Mm-hmm.
and then you click on services and it'll say Sunday evening conversations, and you go to Sunday evening conversations. Are you doing that now?
No, what I'm going to try to do is put up
Oh,
CSLSR.
LSR. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to try to put and type it in and add a new little tag that people could see.
And then I don't know how this works, but if people want to be on my mailing list, I can let them know, you know, when
Sure.
this happens. Stuff. But if you go on the church website and go to services and you can see Sunday evening, it'll guide you to the Zoom. And
Okay.
it'll give you a picture like I'm on next week. So it'll give my picture of what I'm talking about. And Karen actually is going to sing for us in my service that night.
Oh, and I got the two of you together. You
We
guys,
were great. We were great.
because you both have this wit and humor that is in plays off of each other.
Yeah.
I'm almost there.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to put up. I'm going to put up the church CSLSR. That's what you look for, the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa.
.org.
Oh, .org. Okay, no, let me add .org.
Okay.
.org. Done. Now, there's the website, so people can tune into that website and find out information about that. Now,
And what I'll do is, now when this is done,
yeah,
are we almost done? I have no idea. But
we got about 12 minutes.
okay. When this is done, will this be on my Facebook page?
I can share it to your page.
Okay. And then what I can do is add that information if people want
Yeah,
to look it
yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah. And
Because Sunday night is it's great. I mean, I think if people are having 1/10 of the satisfaction that I have when I do it, then I'm doing a good job. But I get off of that service and I feel good, and then I watch American Idol and I just am beside myself.
I love American Idol.
I love American Idol too.
Well, let me just throw out that just the you talking today, we really had no idea where it was going to go. I kind of asked a couple of questions, but basically we're just talking. I've already gained so much just from you talking. And I always, whenever I finish talking with you, I always feel better. And let me just say, Elias Owens is watching. Reagan, Phillips,
Yeah.
Rick
Regan
Walt.
is one of my dancers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Elias is on the Sunday evening service team with me and has been for
Okay.
years. He's
And then
wonderful.
Rick Walt is watching. He says he
Rick
loves
Walt
you.
is watching.
Yeah.
Hi,
And
honey.
Molly is watching.
Oh, Molly's watching. Molly,
So,
I met Molly when she was like 18 years old. I met her at one of these big process things at church, and I stalked her for years because I thought she was the coolest person I'd ever met. She still is the coolest person I ever met. But I just would go to a coffee shop and just watch her, you know. And so
Yeah.
now we're friends. And then now, since we've sheltered in place, we've talked more in the last 2 months than we have in the last 5 years. I mean, it's just incredible.
Don't you think one of the gifts we're getting from this shelter in place thing is the fact that people are actually talking to each other more in phone conversations and Zooms and FaceTimes and all that stuff?
Well,
We're,
and the thing that I notice, I mean, there's incredibly heartbreaking stuff about people dying alone, and the grief, the massive amount of grief that's going on with all these people that are sick, and of course all the ones that have died. I mean, my heart just breaks. And then there's this thing about the air being clear. There's this thing about noticing thousands of acts of kindness, not just from first responders, but from regular people. I see these videos on commercials of what people are doing in their homes with their kids and for themselves. There's NBA commercials that saying, you know, stay safe, and you see these men that you watch play ball, and they have their little kids in their arms. There's a kindness and a compassion going on. It's too bad it's not in our government, but it's in the people that I think I want this to be our new normal. This caring for one another. It's like all of a sudden the world is our neighbor.
yeah. Can I ask
You
you a
know?
question? Can I ask you a question about the government thing? And I just want to throw this out because you would be the right person to ask, to pose this question. The fact that the government is out of the mix, and as people we're learning that we need to just take care of it ourselves, isn't that actually a better thing in what we're supposed to be doing anyway? And maybe the positive side of this is the fact that the government, we've needed the government to get the hell out of the way so we could learn to take care of each other anyway.
Well, I will tell you that I won't comment on the government right now because that's going to spoil the feeling that I have in my body and heart right now.
Okay.
But I will say this. Do you remember the game Follow the Leader?
Mm-hmm.
There was always a leader, and we would dance around, or we would march or something, and you followed the leader.
Right.
I was told to follow the leader. I remember following the leader, you know, and the leaders are the doctors and the preachers and the parents and the teachers. These are the leaders. And we're told to follow. I was told to follow these leaders. And then someone disappoints you because there's no resonance there. There's a disconnect. And you think, but I'm supposed to follow the leader. Now, I followed a lot of leaders, and some of them lifted me up and some of them disappointed me. When I was doing backstage at a Silmar, I see all these famous ministers, and I'm thinking, why are they so nice on stage and such jerks backstage? I don't get why they're so different, you know, because I don't think I was any different backstage than I was on stage.
Right.
But sometimes the personality gets so big that it takes over, and real person, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
So I've learned not to follow the leader. I've followed the leader most of my life, and I'm thinking, you know, and I don't mean to be religious, but God in me is what I need to follow. You asked Karen, and you talked about your intuition to hug that woman, you know. My intuition is my leader. And my intuition has never, ever betrayed me. My brain has betrayed me, but never. And my heart kind of has betrayed me, but not my intuition. So that's what I love to talk about. That's what I love to preach about. That's what I love to teach about. Is when, and almost every prayer I've ever done for people, which is hundreds over the years, when people say, here's my prayer request, and many times I say, what is your relationship to your intuition? You know, and they will say what that is. And I said, then you already know the answer to this question because you have that telling you. So we chop half of that request off and see what's underneath there. But it's like listening to my intuition And Oprah said this. I love this quote. She said, "When in doubt, don't." And then I saw an interview with Julie Andrews recently, and she talked about her mother said, "When in doubt, don't move." So if I'm ever in doubt, if I'm going, is it yes or is it no? I think just let it come. Like LeBron, let it come. The answer will come. And my philosophy of life is communication and timing. If we all paid attention to that, we would have peace on earth.
Oh, I was taught, and if anybody's watching and anybody watches this back, they'll understand why I love you and why you have been my spiritual mentor, because just everything you say is always everything that I just need to hear. And what you just made me think of, way back when I was getting sober and reading the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, because I've now made public knowledge that I've been in AA for 42 and a half years now. And it says in there, uh, listening to our intuition, to that intuitive voice, which is what they refer to, or what I took away from that is God talking to me, listening to that intuition, that intuitive thought. And as you were speaking, that brought that back home to me, that's how I feel my higher power, my God voice, is that intuition, not my head and not my heart, because they both take me to the wrong places.
Yeah.
And that's what you just told me. And I'm like, wow, that was a nugget of wisdom that I needed to vocalize right now. And
But this is what brought you to what you're doing now. Your intuitive nature said, I don't have a job. I can't play drums anywhere. All the clubs are closed. What's next? Here you are doing it.
mm,
You know? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if you labored at it or if it just came as like my whole thing about connecting with you. I'm talking to Regan and Deborah and I'm saying, I want to do a show. Not as Maggie Cole, the practitioner, but as Maggie Cole, for God's sake, you know?
and I
And
want
then
to,
all of a sudden, there you are 2 days later. And I'm thinking, the universe is feeding me this information.
right,
I don't know where it's going to go. I don't have a look, I don't have a color of it. But this is turning me on so much. And I'm making a list of people that I want to talk to and
right.
have fun with.
So let me ask, now let's reverse roles for a minute, just because we can, and this is our show and our time. Damn it!
For God's sake.
For God's sake, this is okay. So let's say this is your show, and it's Maggie Cole, for God's sake, and you wanted to ask me a question. What would you ask me?
I would say, Jeff, what is the greatest joy that you experience in your life?
Well, that's easy,
I
and
know.
I'm going to start crying. Yeah, it's easy because of you. So- we always do this. Okay, so it's easy now. I can answer it. It's my children. Because when I was in the middle of all my shit, and I'm saying it, I just got to put it out there that way. And I was having my issues, and I called you one day, and you let me cry for like an hour, and then you said, "I invite you to find one thing to be grateful for. Find one thing." And it's always been my kids. So from that moment on, I latched onto that. And it doesn't matter what I go through, bam, I grab that, because it's the one place that I always know is safe and secure, is that love that I have for them. And them for me. So, Maggie Cole.
Honey, you told me you weren't gonna wipe your nose on camera.
I can't help it.
You aren't your word.
I'm sorry. Um, but that is an easy question instantly to answer because and I seriously never got there. I would not have been there if it wasn't for you because that was what you helped me get to. And if what we haven't just done been an example of our relationship, it could not, you could not have been more authentic than ever, and I so appreciate you.
Well, thank you, honey. And when we talked on Friday, after we made that connection and we talked on
Right,
Friday, it
right.
was like no time had passed between us.
No,
You know, and I do notice, and I said this to you, you were a wreck 25 years ago. And
yeah,
then when I saw you at Agape, 10 years ago, when I'm
yeah,
standing in a line to get into Wednesday night service and you come out as the usher, I practically fell to my knees and I thought, thank you, Jesus, that he is here because I knew that you had pursued your journey to get to know who and what you truly are, you know? And for you, it was agape,
right.
and then you did sound at Revelations, and I got to just look up at you and wave, you know. And
Yeah,
then we had lunch together a couple of times, when
yeah,
you were at Revelations, and I thought he is bathed in this community,
yeah.
and I knew it would bring to you what it brought to me, because Revelations was the reason I became a practitioner. I was never thinking about it, never wanted it, never thought about it, anything. And then I went to Revelations that first time and discovered that God lived inside of me. I mean, that's a story that I will tell you someday. That
Mm,
I thought, oh my God. And Michael Beckwith said to me that day, because I was in that room and everybody had left, and it was me and Michael and Ricky and Nikki Harris and Ruth Barnhart from here. And he looked and I said, this is what I experienced. And he said, you'll never be the same again.
mm,
He was right.
mm.
He was right. It took
Yeah,
me years for this to come to fruition, to blossom. But from that moment on, I thought, no, I will never see the world and myself the same again.
wow.
Let's do this
Maggie,
again. We could just have a show, just you and me.
right? Well, it was fun, we laughed. We laughed and we cried.
My two favorite things.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, well, I love you, Maggie, and I appreciate you taking the time to share yourself with me on my show. And I I invite you. I'm learning from you. I'm going to put this to make sure you make this the life and times of Maggie Cole, for God's sake, a real thing, because I think it would be wonderful to see you from my spot, having conversations with you wanted to talk to because you have so much to offer.
Oh, thanks, honey.
Yeah, it
Well,
would be.
honey, you have been the idea that I had, you
Uh-huh.
know, you have been Michael in his visioning article from 20 years ago. He said everybody's looking for their purpose in life, and he said there's only one purpose. We are here to give and receive love. We are here to be instruments. And the vehicle that we choose to impart that is individual to each one of us. So, this vehicle idea about the show thing and you showing up, you have been my vehicle.
Oh,
So, I want you to know that I would still be kind of ruminating with this. And all of a sudden, you were there. We had this conversation, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is possible. All the balls are still in the air. I don't understand them.
hmm,
but you have enlivened me like Sunday night has enlivened me again, and I haven't been this alive in a while.
Yes.
Except when I'm with Rob, and then I'm very much alive.
Well, then it's just blooming all around you in every way possible.
Because the universe is always saying yes to us.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned from Science of Mind. If I'm going, life is hard and then you die, which was my mother's philosophy, the universe says, yeah, you're right. Life is hard and you die. But you say, I want to open myself and welcome what God has in mind for me. And the universe says, okay, here's Jeff doing a show.
Mm.
What?
Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, thank
Will you
you.
have me back sometime?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
And I will.
And you'll be my first guest when I do my thing.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I get to ask the questions now. And I can ask some real deep questions.
Oh, man. I'll just end up just sitting and crying the whole time.
That's okay. I'll watch.
People will tune out and they'll come back 5 minutes later. He's still crying.
Well, okay. I'd love for you to come on Sunday night with me sometime, and I can introduce you to my people, and they can then, you can meet them and stuff.
I will do it this Sunday. What time is it on Sunday?
It's 7:00.
Well, that's a good time for me.
Okay. And Karen will be there too. That'll be fun.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Can I say things to everybody? Can I say, are you really going to wear that?
Yeah, you can do that. Everybody gets to contribute. It isn't me preaching. It's conversation.
Okay. I can listen too, right? I can just listen.
Because you know how now.
I have learned. Was I an okay listener for you today?
Oh, honey, you were wonderful.
Okay.
I love being with you, Jeff. Do you get that? I'm not sitting here, oh, Lord, I can't wait till this is over.
Well, yeah. This is
as easy with you as it is with when Deborah and Regan and I get on the thing together.
Uh-huh.
And we have no agenda. We have no itinerary. We just launch in and go all over the place,
Yeah.
And then at the end, we know it's the end, and then we're off. But and that's my good Molly being one of these people.
Okay.
We set a time, because you have to set a time and make arrangements to talk to people anymore. It's just not to call you up because you don't know what people are doing. But we just come together and say, because this is one of my favorite things, what's alive in you? And that begins a conversation. Mm. What's on your mind? I called her the other day and I thought, I got to tell you about this show thing, And then she gave me all this feedback. And that was no surprise to her. Of course.
Oh,
I love my people.
Yeah.
My real people, my imaginary people, my people on the TV, my people in the movies. I have all my people. And I love them all for all kinds of different reasons. And you're one of my people.
Thank you, Maggie. I'll be there Saturday or Sunday night at 7, and I'll listen and join in if I need to or can. So I'm going to take us out with another Karen song. Can I do that? Okay. I'm just going to play one, and I'm not sure which one it is, but let's listen.
So am I going to disappear?
No. No, you're going to stay there for a second.
Okay.
And I'm going to close out the show.